What's up guys, James Palms here. Today we're taking a quick video on why are my palm leaves yellowing. Now I know why they're yellowing, but I get this question. I've been getting it fairly regularly. So why are these leaves yellowing? So this one yellows and it's going to brown and fall off. This one is, and that one is. So this palm is only going to keep. This is the question I get. I know what's happening here, and I did it on purpose. But this is the question I ask. So I have a Washingtonia robusta, and I see it all the time, and people have 3 fronds on it. They have this one, and this one, and it looks like crap. Well, there's a number of things that it can be. I know what it is in this case, and what it oftentimes is most palms, the reason when people have them in a pot like this is underwatering. A lot of people think, especially because of this palm, is a desert palm, native to the Baja of California, and that it should be able to take almost no water, like very drought tolerant. Well, it's not a cactus. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a desert. You would just have, if you were in the Mojave Desert and stuff, it would just be littered in Washingtonia robusta. So that's not the case, but they are very, very drought tolerant. But they don't necessarily like it either. They will, when they're growing in very dry conditions, especially when they're small like this, they will definitely hold less. Like if I let this pod completely dry out, which it's better to in the winter anyways, because I want less chances of mold and things and root rot, because it doesn't use as much of it because it's in very low light conditions. So which brings me to my next point. So that is another reason why some of these leaves will yellow. If it's not enough sunlight, and yellowing on the leaves is a natural part of the palm because it's retrieving the nutrients back out of the leaves and back into the plant, and it's recirculating by letting these leaves go, and they will do that naturally. Usually, depending on the plant and depending on how much nutrients it has and depending on the age. When they're really small, they will naturally hold less leaves. A palm this size in like a 3-gallon pot should usually hold, if it's really healthy, happy and healthy, it should be holding about, it could be up to about 10 fronds. And it won't hold more than that. Whereas one in the ground that is much larger, like my other one in the ground, it'll hold 25 or maybe 30. It could go up even more. As it gets more mature, they can hold a lot more. And not all of them will, because they're not necessarily in ideal conditions, or because they're not getting watered enough, or because of they're not getting enough fertilizer, whatever the reason is. But those are all the reasons you have to look at. So if some people just say, oh, what kind of fertilizer am I using? The leaves are yellowing. This palm is plenty fertilized. Now this one here has been tucked in the back. I have a lot of big palms. I have tons of palms, and they can't all get light. They're all trying to get LED light, and I have backburnered this one quite a bit. And so the light was one problem, but it typically, even under a pretty low light, it will still actually hold most of the leaves. But this is actually, I've cut off 2 already this winter, and now I'll cut off another 2. This happens to most of them as they go through the winter. They will get less and less leaves, and the ones that are making are going to be a little more laggy. These are definitely more laggy than the other ones. This newest one is way bigger than it should be and laggy, but that'll all straighten out in the spring, summer, and when they're getting more sun. But the way you can tell that your palm is needing water, and what happens basically, so when this is drying out, you might pick it up and you might think, well, there's still a bit of water in there, but they don't like it. These palms actually do like having more water. They'll look better in more water. So what happens is these leaves will start drooping. The first thing you notice when a palm is thirsty is the leaves. Sometimes they'll tighten up too, depending on the species, but on these Mexican fan palm I'm talking about right now, because this is what I'm getting the questions about, because this is what I tend to grow. The leaves will kind of like, the frond will kind of shrink a little bit. The whole fan will kind of shrink a little bit in like this. And the petioles will start to sag. These will get, like right now, these petioles are very firm. This is the petiole right here, the part that connects it to the trunk. These parts here are very stiff, and they're standing upright. They'll kind of get a little sad, and they'll get weak, and they'll kind of bend down like this, and these leaves will bend down. And that's what was happening. Now, as soon as you give it water, they'll spring back up. But the one thing that won't happen is this yellow color that starts on the leaves from you over drying it will not go away. It will continue the cycle and kill off these leaves. Sometimes that'll hold them after you get the water. The leaf will go a little more back to a little more green, and they'll kind of hold it. Like this one might have been a little more yellow. I have noticed some of them go a little more yellow, and then they'll come back a bit. My son's screaming here. Just give me a second. Oh, sorry about that. My kid was yelling over here. Anyways, what's going on? So some of these leaves will tend to come back a little bit. The color won't, if it goes yellow like this, it won't fully come back. But if it just started going a little tinge of yellow like this, and maybe it goes a little more. It might sometimes come a little more back green. It won't go fully. It'll kind of stay like this, which is fine. And or you can just cut them off, but you don't have to. I usually typically wait until it fully will sort of brown off fully, because the palm is still getting stuff out of it, and then you can cut it off, and that's it. But it won't hurt the palm, especially a young one like these, to have only 3 leaves. It won't be the end of it, and it'll limp on like that. It's not even really limping on. They don't mind it, but they will do that for a long time. But anyways, the point is, if you want to keep them really happy and really healthy, just look at all the requirements, not just the fertilizer. Watering is definitely a big one. You can actually water these a fair amount in a pot like this with holes in the bottom. And if you have a good draining mixture, and if it's warm out, you can basically water it every day. I mean, you almost can't overwater because it's not going to sit in water. I have heard from people though, and I've seen these palms in Florida sitting in water, so they won't. I mean, they could get root rot, but they typically don't mind being wet. I mean, if it was very cold and stuff, but they don't mind having lots of water. They'll take it very wet or they'll take it dry, and I think they actually look better when they're taking it more wet. So that's. My opinion is it's typically either water or it could be lack of sunlight. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Later.